So this process is very important to understand. It amazes me how much God and Jesus talked about the vines, the fruit, the gardener, the branches. Yes, because the fruit here, okay, this is what you produce. What is the branch producing? You're the branch. Are you producing good fruit? Are you producing bad fruit? You're the branch. This is why, Jesus went up to the fig tree and like, look at this, it's not produced. I'm going to cut it down and throw it into the fire. So there's a difference here. God will prune good branches that are producing good fruit. This is why the prosperity teachings don't work. They don't. But let me start with God cutting a branch, a person out completely. Because God will throw an entire branch into the fire because it is going to infect the rest. This is what is true about trees too, what they do. Gardeners prune trees and bushes because they will produce more. Okay, so God does this with us. So when he's cutting things away from us, it can look to this world like, oh, you're doing it all wrong. That's what the prosperity teachings would say. Yeah, no, it's the opposite. When it comes to just cutting the branch out completely, this would be a false prophet. Please take this under consideration in our current time, okay? Because people then take the false prophet and turn them into a martyr. When God would not completely remove a branch if it was producing, and if he will completely cut. Again, you are the branches. Just think of it like this, okay? This is God. Now here he's pruning, but I use the apostles. They're the branches, okay? So, and the fruit is what they're producing. This process, however, is God's completely removing the person, meaning they're a false prophet. This is the Divine Vineyard. Well, the good branch again will get the good branch, meaning that it's producing fruit, that will get pruned. Because oftentimes those type branches, especially coming from the prosperity teachings, seriously, God will be like, oh, they think they've produced their own fruit, so I'm going to have to cut them down. They've gotten a little too far away from where their nutrients are coming from, and it's not them. But so that's the pruning process. However, when he cuts the branch out completely, it is because he doesn't want it to disease the rest of the branches. He doesn't want a bad branch will stand in the way of sunlight for the rest of the tree, because you can look at the rest of the branches as believers. So when you have a false prophet in the middle of a bunch of believers that are growing and producing, and you have a big influencer that's a false prophet, God will cut them down. This happened to Joseph Smith with the LDS church or Mormon church, whatever. And this happened most recently. Yeah, I know everybody in this world will call them a martyr. And you know why everybody does that? Because of their ego. Because most people, instead of wanting to look at the fact that, hey, I got played, I'm going to choose to say that they're a saint. Yeah, God would like you to know him better so that, he can let you know, no, I cut them out for a reason, because they will disease the whole vine. Jesus is the vine. We are the branches. God is, you could look at God as the root, or you can look at God, he's just the gardener altogether. But this has happened over and over again, where people then turn the branches that God removes that are no good, because they're going to hurt the other branches. God removes them, especially if they're a big influencer. This has happened in the Bible. He sometimes does it right away, or it could be a year, 2 years down the line. But it's a literal process when it comes to trees. So it's just how amazing God is to explain things that, and it's also, it should give people a reality check too, that, this can happen to anybody. That you cannot, it's one thing, God knows people will get things wrong, but you can't run around and use his word for political goals but twist his word. He'll cut you, especially if you're a big influencer. So it's really a warning. So why the branches get cut? So when a branch, like here, gets cut completely, this is true for trees and why God does it. A tree has a finite amount of nutrients. Dead or sucker branches sap energy without giving anything back. Yeah, they don't produce anything. Removing them forces the tree to send resources to the healthy fruit-bearing limbs. This works to prevent disease prevention. Bad fruit or decaying wood can host pests and fungi that eventually will rot the entire trunk. Cutting them off is a form of protection. Yes, God is protecting you. And then the world will not see it. Dense, tangled branches block sunlight from reaching the center of the tree. Thinning the canopy allows the remaining fruit to ripen properly. So then when it comes to God pruning, when God prunes, he's not cutting to cut the branch off completely, not because he's not happy with it. He is cutting it so that it can produce even more fruit, okay? Making space for new growth, renewal of growth. See, the false prophet will often look like a healthy branch because they're just talk the talk. They use the right language, they occupy the right spaces, and then people, especially if they're big influence, lean on them, hang on their words. Believers will invest time and faith and resources into that false branch, expecting fruit that never comes. Just as a thick, leafy but fruitless branch can block the sun from the smaller, honest plants below, a false leader can overshadow the truth and prevent others from growing. And God will, I've always said, God will not go backwards. He will not allow it. But that doesn't mean you're just cut off because you get something wrong. It's the ones that know that they know better. So, however, there's many branches that produce great fruit, okay? This is where the prosperity teachings are wrong. Because your fruits that you produce that are pleasing to God aren't coming from your efforts. They're coming because, you surrender to God. If you start thinking it's because of your will and you're so great, then God will start cutting you down, not because he's angry with you, but you've grown too far away from the vine, which is Jesus. So you need to be cut back a little bit, need to be cut down a bit, so that you'll produce even greater, and so that, you remember your place, kind of thing. And when that happens, it's taking away, you will have the things that this world calls what success looks like. Those things are taken from you. I know that's the way it is. It's just this world thinks the opposite way. Why? Because the wicked one runs it. This is a reminder to the community not to put their ultimate faith in people, branches, but in the root, the divine. It encourages people to look more closely at the fruit and actual result of a leader or influencer. Once the false branch is gone, the light hits the rest of the tree again, and the truth has room to breathe. So, this is all very amazing how God used this so much for a reason, so that you would understand that in this world, the world will say, you've lost everything, or you're poor, so you're a loser. It's because you actually produce good fruit in many cases. So don't listen to the world. just listen to God. Don't be a completely fruitless branch.